Stitch spacing, or density, is the amount of space between two rows of stitches in satin, tatami, and other types of fill stitches. This property is a balancing act composed of part science, part common sense, and part personal preference. Spacing affects fabric coverage, and therefore fabric color, texture, and pattern can affect coverage. Hatch provides several ways of adjusting stitch spacing to make it just right for your project. This lesson applies to Organizer and Personalizer. One way you can increase or decrease spacing with tatami, satin, and other embossed fills is with the Adjust Stitch Spacing tool. This only applies to a design if it has objects. So that means we're looking at an EMB design or a stitch file that you've opened and used recognized stitches on. In Organizer and Personalizer, the adjustment is applied to applicable design objects in the selected design. Now, when we open a design in Organizer or Personalizer, it is grouped. If you insert additional designs, each one of those is grouped. So here what I've done is I've inserted the square design from the Hatch library. You can find it in the Shapes folder, so you can try this for yourself. I have the Design Information Docker open, and you can see that each one of these squares has the same number of stitches. So to adjust the spacing, I'll select the square, I'll go to Adjust Stitch Spacing, and I'll type in 50%. Now remember, this is adjusting the spacing, so it's making the spacing 50% smaller. So that means it's increasing the density. 100% would be no change. I'll click OK. Now if we look over here in the Information Docker, you can see that we have 16,701 stitches, pretty much double what we had before. Let's try this one and set the spacing to 200%. So I'll select it, I'll go to Adjust Stitch Spacing, and I'll type in 200. This is making the space bigger between the rows of stitches, so that means less density. And I'll click OK. And you can see that this one is now down to 5,305 stitches. So if the tool is grayed out, you need to select a design. Most often you're going to be working with one design in Personalizer and Organizer, so it's going to apply to the whole design. You just need to select it. 100% is no change. Greater than 100% opens up the design. It adds more space. So it's reducing the density, and it generally reduces the stitch count. Less than 100% decreases the spacing. In other words, it increases the density, and it generally increases the stitch count. Stitch files opened as stitches only have no objects. You need to have Hatch recognize the stitches as objects to use this tool.